Hello and welcome to Scarlet Serpent readings. Thank you so much for joining me for today's Timeless Pick a Card reading, where we will be looking at your Ancestral Karma. So, yeah, we're just going to jump right in. I mean, first of all, I want to thank all of you who support the channel, are subscribed, and also for those of you just stopping by, welcome. And I always appreciate all of your comments and feedback and likes. It really makes me happy. So thank you again. And yeah, no, this video was a long time coming. It took quite a bit, so hopefully you find that it's worth it. So yeah, Ancestral Karma. I went in with the intention that it doesn't necessarily have to be ancestors from this planet, so it's fairly open in that way. So I just wanted to mention that before we jump in. So we have 3 piles here. Pile 1 is going to be this sunstone. Pile 2 is this selenite thing. And then pile 3 is a green tourmalated quartz. So take your time. The timestamps are going to be in the description, so you could take as long as you need to before selecting your pile, and I'll meet you at your reading. Hi, pile 1. If you chose the sunstone, if you could see that, this is going to be your reading. What is your ancestral karma? So I already have a few oracle cards chosen for you. The first one says the divine matrix, interconnectedness, whoops, there we go, synchronicity, god incidences, so I guess coincidences, interconnectedness. Let's see, we have phases and the moon with impermanence, enlightenment, and cycles. And the lotus, past, transcendence, and evolution. So straight away there's a strong connection to the color purple. That would be, I think, a sign that your ancestors are near, and part of your I guess karma is a really strong connection with the crown chakra and understanding. I think your ancestors put a lot of work in understanding the matrix and understanding, I think, lots of time meditating and contemplating on the self. And I think that has resulted in probably your accelerated enlightenment or ascension, or I think that you might have started the journey, the spiritual journey, maybe a little late, but you caught on incredibly quickly in comparison to some other people that might take a while having to meditate and do the shadow work and everything. I feel like for you it might have been very fast, just because a lot of that work has been put in by your ancestors, and that it's been something that your ancestral line has done many times. And I think part of it is also, like the cards say, is part of the karma is understanding the interconnectedness of everything, every thought, every person that you come across, and also just the ebbs and flows of not only the phases of the moon, but kind of how you feel, cloudy days, sunny days, the people that come into your life, ups and downs. I think there's just an inherent understanding of those things, and that comes from, again, your ancestors. And this is a very spiritual pile. I mean, I think all the piles are. The collective is very spiritual, definitely. I think there's a lot of peaceful energy in this pile, though, of just understanding, of passing things, things that pass, and even in the sunny days and the brightness, and when things are moving fast, there's kind of this humbleness. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. This gratitude that comes in as you, I think your ancestors and part of your karma is being centered. And if there's been times where it felt as though things were a bit chaotic, and that just, those those trials were there just to show you that you have the ability to center yourself at any time, and that's really like a superpower that you have that came from your ancestors. But let's get a little more from the tarot. What is your ancestral karma? Okay. So straight away we have the moon underneath the moon. Princess of Coins. I think that says a lot about the stability again. And interesting that this Princess of Coins has a moon on her head up there. Let's see if I could focus. It's okay. Well, anyway, just trust me that there's up here like a moon. I don't want you to see it. There you go. On her kind of bandana that she has on. So very strong connection to the moon. I think that's... Oh look, and I had under the deck the High Priestess. I'll put it out too. Yeah, lots of divine feminine energy, lots of receptive energy. And I think that's part of the karma, is being open to receiving and sitting and waiting. This is what all of this is, actually. Very open and intuitive energy, and that intuition comes from your ancestors, from I think the time that they've put trying to study not only themselves but the universe. And I don't know, I just feel like a strong connection to the moon here. And that through looking at the moon and following the phases, especially with High Priestess and the moon, and this Phases of Moon card, extremely strong connection there to, and I think if you were someone who had considered having a moon guide specifically, that guide would definitely be an ancestor. Seven of Coins, which is I think Saturn and Taurus, so there's an uncertainty to the amount of work that's been put in. Ace of Cups here. I think this is you. I think this is you sometimes not realizing that the good that has come into your life is something earned, even if you don't feel it's been earned through you directly. Anything else? Here we go. The Three of Clubs, which is that meditation. I think meditation is very strong with you, and I think you have a quiet mind, or you have the capacity to have a quiet mind. Again, very receptive. Look at this exact same pose. That's pretty remarkable. Let's take a look at that real quick. Two completely different decks with the exact same pose. Not just in meditation, but the hand gesture. Praying there, or with the arms, the hands connected. Hopefully you can see that. The exact same posture, the exact same pose. So I think you have a very strong connection to your ancestors through meditation. That's when they come through to you. And even with the Ace of Cups, so there's a lot of this receptive energy, I think. Your karma is not having to work that hard, I think. The ancestral karma is, it just feels like a lot of that work's already been put in, and now is your time to sort of just allow that work to flow back to you. It's something that, and I think it comes to you because you've probably been a guide to your ancestors, as a spirit guide to them, and it's kind of like your help is being paid back to you. Let's just clarify this row. Okay, I'll take these two. The Magician. And a lot of reference to the third eye here. So, I mean, that goes to show that you're incredibly intuitive. Even this, there's like a reptile that has a third eye. It's kind of random, but not really, because, oh lord. Let's see, sorry. Well, I think you could zoom in on YouTube if you kind of pinch like that. So I'll just have you do that. And I apologize, but there's a third eye here as well, so definitely a very open third eye. And I think with the World card, you have a deep understanding of how to do magic, how to Seven of Clubs, Prince of Cups, Lovers. Two cards fall out, so put those. Nine of Cups, and then the Star. You have the capacity to manifest your dreams, and I think a lot of this has been with the help of your ancestors, realizing the interconnectedness of everything. Again, with the Lovers, I think that's something that they have gone through with themselves. It's two females here, so of course this is a general reading, so take it as it resonates, but I do think this is like kind of with the self, that the ancestors have taken a lot of time to love themselves and understand themselves so fully and deeply that they can see themselves in everything. And that's the same thing with the Nine of Cups, where there's this reflection. Usually the Nine of Cups is like it has to do a lot with the self, kind of with the Assad and kind of that last push towards full manifestation, but there's two people in the Nine of Cups, so that just goes to show that maybe there's always been this partnership in spirit, and there's always been that very deep understanding with the divine and with spirit, that's always been there. Even with the Prince of Cups, we have the Scorpion here, so there's that kind of Scorpio, lots of cups, Prince of Cups, all this energy of very deep understanding within the waters, and that going to that depth doesn't take that much effort. So this is again a very, very psychic group. And at times I think your ancestors are helping you defend that, with the Seven of Clubs being here. The High Priestess and Seven of Clubs. I think it just goes to show that to have faith in your own abilities. Sometimes I think society and the world tries to undermine you just because of how strong you are, and there's this push to kind of force reality in the material world onto you, even though you understand that it doesn't really have to take too much like extra hard work, 50 hours a week or something like that, to get what you deserve. I think there's just a deep understanding that it's not necessarily the amount of time or effort, it's just kind of the level of focus and depth that you put into anything that will result in joy. Because this is all water, even Aquarius here, the water is in those whole pile, and I think that's something that you understand and your ancestors have understood, and I think that understanding goes through to you because of just how important it is to feel good and to be happy and to connect at a heart level with everything and everyone. Yeah, and then we have this last card, Sensitivity, with Lady Nada. Just leave this here. Oh look, and it's right under the rose quartz. So that sensitivity, that very strong emotional body that you have, is a superpower that you have, and that was kind of brought to you from your ancestral karma, and that connectedness through the heart is what kind of unlocks the doors to perceiving a world that's beyond your own in a lot of ways, and beyond what society deems is real. I think that just goes to show you're definitely capable of not only channeling with an open crown chakra, but feeling. And I think that's kind of why this Seven of Clubs is here too, is that, you know, it's pink, this is pink, and sometimes you have to defend the way you feel, even though it doesn't make sense to the rest of the world. And sometimes you feel alone in the 3D, in the matrix, as you could say, where there's not a lot of people that you have actually felt heart to heart with, but that exists. And I think there's a part of you that knows that it exists and that it's coming to you. But it is always with you in spirit, so and with your ancestors especially. So hopefully this reading was helpful. Please let me know in the comments, like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff, and I hope to see you in the next reading. Take care. Hi Pile 2, if you chose this selenite, this is going to be your reading. What is your ancestral karma? So I have a few oracle cards, of course. We have the Temple of Truth with throat chakra, authenticity, and self-expression. The White Oak with healing, versatility, and endurance. And Memory and Mind, guidance, analysis, and application. You could definitely have a connection to Atlantis, of course, and water, and to your ancestors, and to the trees especially. Very strong kind of connection to trees, and I wouldn't be surprised if you just felt comfort. I mean, a lot of people do, but I think you're more aware of what trees really are, the wisdom that they have, and there's a deep connection to magic here. I think part of the ancestral karma is has to do with speaking up and kind of speaking the truth that comes from the magical realms, and doing so with confidence, with a groundedness that is necessary when it comes to kind of opening the floodgates, so to speak, I guess. When it comes to unveiling so much that most people won't accept straight away, but just knowing that there's an audience for it. Very strong mystics here, I think. Like, even if it was from Atlantis, that there was kind of shamanic ancestors there. A strong connection to nature specifically, with the trees, and again, it's more of, I think maybe your ancestors could have been people who spoke on behalf of those who couldn't speak or can't speak. So like birds, but animals in general, and even the area. So there would be people who would kind of stop construction from taking place because they didn't get the approval of the land. It's kind of like, does the land deem it appropriate to tear down these trees for another apartment? That sort of thing, where that's something your ancestors would have done. And I think that's, if you have a strong urge to fight for environmental causes, that's kind of where that comes from. So let's see what, with the tarot, what your ancestral karma is. This pile, Queen of Coins. So definitely mirroring that connection to the trees and to the earth. Prince of Swords. Maybe at one point ancestors were actually on the opposite side of that, so they could have been people who try to, take the resources and crops for profit, that sort of thing. It's very likely that your ancestors and you might have played both sides, just so you could get a full picture, a full understanding of all perspectives. In those types of situations, it's not usually as easy as black and white. We have 3 of Coins with building, and then there's this building here, so maybe potential architects in your ancestral line, or at least this desire to build and create. And I think the creation is an act of expression too. That's something that maybe your ancestors weren't able to do, fully express themselves. And there's a lot of pyramids here too. The 5 of Swords. This 5 of Swords is self-isolation, not wanting to fight. So you could be someone who ends up being the peacemaker in a situation, with two opposing sides again, and deciding not to put conflict first, but kind of find a way to work together with all parties involved. I think that's part of the karma. I think that I have a strong feeling that your ancestors kind of had all sides again of different sorts of conflicts, and I think part of your karma is seeing how all of these things can go together, how everyone has a part to play. With the Princess of Cups, let's clarify this row really quick. Six of Cups, Ace of Cups. There was a bit of an opposite here, right? With the queen who wants to safeguard the land, but probably doesn't have the greatest memory of childhood. And then there's this prince who had a great sort of upbringing, it kind of feels like, especially with the child in the Ace of Cups. So there's this yin and yang of understanding the roots of people's beginnings and how that influences their choices later in life. I think that's more of an advanced understanding that you have, and that you'd be able to speak on behalf of both sides. Again, with the crows on this side and the willow, the white oak on that side, there's more of sort of this chaotic motion here and more clarity on this side. The Two of Cups. So yeah, there's a strong connectedness here. Two of Cups. Like, I don't know, I just keep feeling that your ancestors were in between two very different sides, and in that way they're able to get the respect of all parties. So if you find that you could talk to anyone, or anyone could kind of come to you. We had the Sun with the Five of Swords, and I think that just goes to show that you're naturally like someone who resolves conflicts. That's very natural for you, and that comes from your ancestors. That's been something that's developed over the years of putting the environment first, putting joy and happiness first, and putting understanding and compassion before being right, especially with the Sun and with the Two of Cups here, is that there is a union, even for those who want to continue developing the land and using up resources. There is a way to do it sustainably and responsibly, and you can understand the value in creating these structures that maybe most spiritual people would stand very strongly against. I think that's what sets you and your ancestors apart, is real compassion and real understanding, even for those who most wouldn't feel deserve that sort of thing. The Magician under the Princess of Cups. She's holding the eye here, and it's manifesting out. So it comes from the heart. I think this is you, and your desire to live in a more peaceful environment is kind of what's influencing you to take action that leads to that sort of material outcome of really peace, peace on earth, that sort of thing. Does this get brighter, or is it just me? I don't know. Sorry. If it's bright, I don't know how to adjust it right now. It's very bright, actually. Sorry. I'll just finish this part of the reading with an oracle card. We have Melchizedek with Divine Perfection. And selenite. Wow, that's pretty incredible. Because you chose selenite, so this pile has a very, very, very strong connection to selenite. I highly recommend using it, as this is definitely a stone you're going to be wanting to use. And let's just turn this down a bit. Hopefully that helps. But yeah, you work well with selenite, and more importantly, I think you have that clarity, that you have the ability to clear the air of mental pollution, of confusion and lack of compassion between different groups of people. And that's something that, again, comes from your ancestors, comes from the value that they've found in collaborating as opposed to fighting. So hopefully this reading was helpful. Please let me know in the comments, share your thoughts, and I hope to see you in the next reading. Take care. Hi Pile 3, if you chose this terminated quartz, this is going to be your reading. What is your ancestral karma? And I'll just do this. It's distracting. So we have the first card is Memories of Atlantis, Spiritual Acceleration, Progress, and Technology. Poisons and Toxins, Fear, Negative Thoughts, Self-Loathing. And the Witching Hour, Spirit Work, Mystery, and the Unknown. I do think your ancestors were mystics, and that it might have been seen as something that is looked down upon, especially in Atlantis. Very strong sort of occult knowledge and understanding from your ancestors, and I think a lot of that karma has to do with embracing and understanding the shadow and the dark side of not only the self but humanity. I guess it's one and the same, yeah. Sorry. And working with those energies in a way that benefits all, that it's not just there by accident. I think that your ancestors have, part of their karma comes from having built a sanctuary within the self, and I think that that's a place you could visit in meditation and through your spiritual practice. Let's get a few more cards and see what else comes up. You have the Nine of Swords. So a lot of this, it says negative thoughts, and then we have the Nine of Swords here. So there's a lot of strong mental energy. And I think if that's something you are experiencing that comes from your ancestors, and some of the thoughts that they've carried might be kind of still with you in this lifetime. And especially if you don't really know where those thoughts come from, that could be kind of like a cord that you're still taking part in. We have the Nine of Coins. And because it was in reverse, I guess it was like this. There could have been sort of self-doubt. Again, it feels like maybe religion has had something to play with this. Organized religion in some way, as far as your ancestors go, is that they've had to endure that sort of, that divide between a desire of who they want to be, who they feel they are, and what is right and wrong. And that polarity might have caused a bit of a rift within themselves. And so that might be something that you've had to deal with in your life, that rift and that divide between maybe occult practices, maybe just who you are. And then we have the Seven of Coins. I'm feeling a little isolated with this card particularly, where it's like the effort hasn't gone anywhere. And then we have the King of Cups. So maybe you've tried to, or maybe not just you, but your ancestor tried to fit in and have been trying to fit in. but that effort has gone in vain just because their soul doesn't really agree with pretending to be something they're not, and their soul doesn't agree with shunning this part of themselves. We'll notice that the King of Cups is underneath the Witching Hour card, so now we're starting to notice some positivity when it comes to really embracing that. And the light went off. I'm just gonna keep going. Embracing that darkness within them, and that's where magic comes from. Look at the Ace of Cups. So there's this side. Hopefully you can still see. Let me see if I can turn up this brightness over here. Oh, too much. I guess that's fine. So there's this occult, very, I don't want to say dark, but it's certainly mystical. It's certainly unorthodox, and that's that part that comes from your ancestors. That's like, there's this deep desire of the Queen of Coins here. So while you might have had trouble connecting to society in traditional means, I think you could find a connection with yourself and with kind of your mystical side through spiritual practice, through really, honestly, it feels like spell work and things like that, where you dived very deep. And there's the 6 and 9 here, so there's this yin and yang that you're trying to bring together. And I think that's something your ancestors tried to do as well, and that's sort of like is a continuation of that balancing within you. Let's clarify these cards. 8 of Cups, Queen of Cups. So the Queen of Cups is upright. This is 9 of Coins. So I don't know, it's an interesting mix of cups and coins, where it's like the more your ancestors try to pursue material wealth and gains and things like that, that it just hasn't worked out for the most part. We have the Ace of Clubs underneath the 7. So I think at some point there's been a shift in their life, Prince of Swords, and a willingness to defend what they truly believe in and who they truly are, with the Wheel of Fortune underneath the Ace of Cups and Queen of Coins. It's almost as if your ancestors have taken fate into their own hands, and I think that's something that maybe you've found in your life too, where instead of just allowing things to hope for the best, that there's kind of this active manifestation, that there's more control. And I think part of the karma is taking control of your life in some manner, either just, I guess, owning, being responsible for your energy and the vibration that you're at, and maybe just using that to attract what you desire, as opposed to working in the way that most people would. Let's clarify this Queen of Coins. Princess of Cups. We have King of Cups, Prince of Swords. Some of these characters may turn up in your life that were in past lives, sort of ancestors, in a way reflecting sort of their antagonists in your world in some sort of way. I think that the people in your life and the way they act and behave towards you is some sort of clue as to not only what your ancestors endured. We have Prince of Cups here, in terms of kind of feeling like an outcast, but also the things that you could do to counteract these people who might not agree with who you are, or might try and tell you what life you should live or who you should be with, that sort of thing. that it's as easy as taking ownership of who you are and allowing the noise to be noise in the background. And the more that you follow your own true north and accept all parts of you, regardless of what society and family, friends, coworkers, regardless of what they think of that side of you, you kind of own up to it and embrace it. And I think that's when the wheel starts to turn a bit faster, as you kind of blend these two parts of yourself and work with them. And I think that's just been something that your ancestors have been trying to do for themselves, is embrace that shadow, embrace that that part. Look, acceptance. Look at that. Okay, so definitely on the right path here. Hopefully you can see this. Well, it says acceptance, Archangel Aniel with the open heart, and then we have it next to the rose quartz again. So this journey and this karma is all about acceptance, and I think that's where the spiritual progress comes from, the acceleration, the ascension, if you will. Especially with 8 of Cups, the 7 of Pentacles. It's like when you live to your own standard, and that's, again, something your ancestors have, that's been, I guess, part of their journey and part of the work that they've put in, is trying to follow and create their own path. And through following that path, the doors open up like magic. And so I think there's a lot to look forward to, and you definitely have the help of your ancestors, because they've definitely tried to embrace all parts of themselves and embrace the situation as well, embrace the present moment with acceptance. So hopefully this reading was helpful, and please let me know in the comments, like and share your story, and I hope to see you in the next reading. Take care.